We know famously the Baal Shem Tov said, but what is Hashgacha Pratis? Hashgacha Pratis is that when a wind blows a leaf off a tree and the leaf then blows across the meadow, the amount of times that the leaf is going to turn over in the wind, that's also Hashgacha Pratis. What is the depth of the Baal Shem Tov's idea? Most of us, when we see a storm, we say, well, there's a reason why Hashem made a storm. Must be. Maybe there's a bad guy planning to do something. The storm is going to stop him. Maybe just because we need a lot of rain because the earth needs to grow. There's a reason for the storm. Now, once you make a storm, what happens when you have a storm? Leaves fall off and they blow. But that wasn't Hashem's intention. Hashem's intention is the storm. And then there are a lot of byproducts. But those are, Hashem is watching and making sure everything goes according to plan. But at the end of the day, that Hashem wasn't thinking about that leaf. Hashem is thinking bigger things. Hashem is thinking the little detail about the leaf. And certainly not how many times the leaf twists over. But Hashgacha Pratis means that every detail is exact. I once wrote up an essay or an article, or maybe a translation of a book, and translated Hashgacha Pratis as divine providence. The Rebbe corrected it. What would be the correct translation for Hashgacha Pratis? The Rebbe said divine particular providence. Think about it. Divine providence is Hashgacha. Hashgacha means Hashem is watching. What does Pratis mean? Pratis means, no, don't forget, it means the individual, it means the Pekudei. It's not that Hashem has big plans for the world and we get caught up in that plan somehow or other. We're like the leaf that's, no. How many times the leaf blows around is also Hashgacha Pratis in the detail. Based on the Sharich of Amunah that we're learning. That every single detail is being constantly recreated by the Asar Mamaris, by the words of Hashem. This plays mamish, it's so relevant to what we're talking about. We talk about the coronavirus. Why did Hashem make the coronavirus? Everyone has a different reason. And it's all about the Mashiach, and this and that. And by the way, I'm sure it is about Mashiach, because everything's about Mashiach. The whole world, all of creation, is a progression towards Mashiach. But we're missing a very important point. Instead of thinking about why did Hashem bring it on the world, you are at home right now. The operative question isn't what's going on in the world. Why does Hashem want you at home? You're not at home because Hashem has some sort of big plan and brought a pandemic to the world. You are at home because Hashem has a plan for you in your home. The leaf isn't twisting because there's a big storm out there. No, the leaf is twisting because there's an individual particular reason why the leaf is twisting. So one way of looking at this whole thing is saying, well, Gamzul Tova, everything's for the good, I have to be happy, and Amunah and Betachin, and that's all true. And that's more what we spoke about last week. There's another step. You have to realize Hashgacha Pratis demands of you to find what is my shlichus. Someone wrote me an email this morning, someone who's he's a venerable student of the Shiur through the internet that he follows. And he wrote to me, he said I have a few lessons maybe from the coronavirus, and one of them he says is that now maybe we can feel a little what it means like to be a shliach in a far-flung community, because they're alone a lot and they have a difficulty with them finding minyanim and mikvahs. So I wrote back to him, I said maybe the reason why that this feels like being on shlichus is because it is a shlichus. And every single one of us has to find what is that shlichus. As Yoino said, Bishali Hasar Azah. There's a big storm going on, but Yoino said, no, I'm not saying that Hashem has some sort of big plan. The whole thing is because of me. The whole reason why Hashem made a coronavirus is because I have to be in my house. Bishvili Nivra Olam, the whole world was created for me. And what is it? Why am I in quarantine? Why do I have to be at home? What is my avodah? What is my shlichus? And I have to search it and find it, and I have to know. I'll get that in a moment. First, let me tell you a story. There was a chassid who was a journalist, also my uncle. His name was Gershon Jacobson. He was the editor of the Allgemeine Journal. And at one time, he was ill. and he had to go to the hospital. And the Rebbe sent a message with his son, through his son. The son went by Kushal Bracha, and the Rebbe sent a message, said, tell your father that he's in the hospital for a reason. He has a shlichus there. And as soon as he finishes his shlichus, he'll leave the hospital. And the Rebbe even followed up afterwards with and asked his aide, Rabbi Chadakov, to ask him, did you finish your shlichus over there? We have to know, if I am in my house now, for stuck in my house the last week or for the foreseeable future, it's because Hashem has a plan for me. Even though the shlichus, maybe it's with my wife, maybe it's a shalom bayis issue that I have to work on. Maybe it's with my children. Maybe it's a chinuch issue I have to work on. Maybe it's something with myself. There is a reason why I'm home. And you know what? When I finish that shlichus, I'll be able to leave home. Because everything is bekavana. Hashgacha pratis, again, what we learn, the perspective of Shar Yichud Vamuna, the perspective of Hashgacha pratis is that it's not only the big things are precise. If I am home, it's because there's a plan also. Because every individual detail is being recreated by Hashem also. So therefore, we have to understand, it's not only about accepting the simcha, but it's understanding there is a shlichus that is waiting for me. And I have to find that shlichus, I have to do that shlichus, and once I do that, this whole thing will be over with. For me, al kapanim. What's going to be with the world? Veisich nicht. But for me, it's going to be over, because the Eibishter wouldn't keep me in my house unless there was a reason for it. And maybe by you doing your shlichus, the Akka will bring the whole thing closer to an end. And